Men are wired to be drawn to that, not the desperate grasp for validation, not the over-explaining, not the proving or persuading, just calm, quiet confidence that says, I want you, but I don't need you. So let's break this down. Attachment breeds anxiety, detachment breeds attraction. We've all been there, right? You meet someone, the connection feels electric, and suddenly you're thinking about them all the time. Every text feels like a dopamine hit. Every moment of silence feels like rejection. Before you know it, your mood is dictated by how they respond or don't respond. Now here's the thing. This isn't love. It's anxiety. And I get it. The brain loves certainty. We want to know where we stand, how they feel, what's coming next. But when we get tangled in that kind of emotional chasing, when we're waiting for the next sign of reassurance, overanalyzing messages, and walking on eggshells to keep the connection alive, we're actually triggering something in the other person, avoidance. Let me explain. There's a study in attachment theory that breaks relationships down into 3 main styles: anxious, avoidant, and secure. Anxious attachment is when you feel like you have to earn love, when closeness feels like relief and distance feels like danger. Avoidant attachment is when closeness feels suffocating and space feels like safety. And here's where it gets tricky. Anxious people tend to attract avoidant people. Why? Because emotional chasing and emotional withdrawal are 2 sides of the same coin. Think about it like this. If you've ever held a handful of sand and squeezed too hard, you know what happens. The more pressure you apply, the faster it slips through your fingers. But if you relax your hand, the sand stays put. That's how attraction works too. When we hold on too tightly, when we emotionally grip, over-explain, over-give, and overthink, it creates pressure. And people, just like that sand, instinctively pull away when they feel too much of it. Not because they don't care, but because the energy feels heavy. Here's where detachment changes the game. When a woman is secure in herself, when she knows that her worth isn't tied to someone else's response, she naturally becomes lighter in her energy. She doesn't overinterpret every delay in communication. She doesn't need constant validation to feel safe. She can enjoy the connection, but she doesn't grip it. And that shift is powerful. Psychologists call this the law of state transference. It's the idea that people absorb the energy we bring into a space. If you show up anxious, analyzing every move, needing to know where you stand, you're signaling to the other person that there's something to be anxious about. But if you show up relaxed, steady, and self-assured, that energy is contagious too. It's like when you walk into a room where someone is completely at ease, you feel it. It makes you want to lean in, settle in, and trust the space. That's the kind of energy a woman with healthy detachment carries. She isn't waiting to be chosen. She isn't trying to be enough. She already is. And that's the paradox. When you stop seeking reassurance, you naturally get more of it. Not because you're playing games, not because you're pretending to care less, but because detachment means you trust yourself more than you fear losing someone. And trust, that's what makes people stay. Confidence isn't loud, it's still. We have this idea that confidence looks a certain way, bold, outspoken, commanding the room. And sure, that's one version of it. But the most compelling kind of confidence, it's not the one that shouts. It's the one that doesn't need to. Think about the most magnetic people you've ever met. Were they the ones constantly proving themselves, over-explaining, trying too hard to be liked? Or were they the ones who seemed deeply comfortable in their own skin, who didn't rush to fill silences, who weren't desperate to be seen, who just were? That's the difference between performance and presence. Performance is exhausting. It's seeking approval, shaping yourself to be what you think someone else wants. It's over-apologizing, over-explaining, and over-investing in people who haven't earned that level of access to you. But presence is still, it's grounded. It's knowing that you belong in any room simply because you're in it. And here's where this connects to relationships. Men, and really all people, are drawn to that kind of energy because it feels safe, it feels steady. It's the difference between being around someone who's constantly scanning the room for validation versus someone who doesn't need to be reassured every 5 minutes that they're enough. Now, before you roll your eyes and say, well, that's great, but how do I actually get there? Let's talk about the psychology behind it. There's a phenomenon in social psychology called self-verification theory. It basically says that people seek out relationships that confirm what they already believe about themselves. So if deep down you believe you're too much, not enough, or somehow unworthy, you will subconsciously gravitate toward people and situations that reinforce that. You'll overcompensate. You'll accept breadcrumbs and call it a meal. You'll stay in dynamics where you're constantly proving yourself because that feels familiar. But when you step into true confidence, when you know without needing external confirmation that you are already whole, everything changes. You stop auditioning, you stop settling, you stop chasing people who were never meant to be yours in the first place. And the shift is noticeable. A woman who embodies this kind of quiet confidence doesn't send follow-up texts to a man who keeps forgetting to reply. She doesn't over-explain herself when someone misunderstands her. She doesn't shapeshift into what she thinks will make someone stay. She simply exists fully as she is. And the right people, they lean in. Because confidence, real confidence, isn't about external validation. It's not about how many people want you, chase you, or compliment you. It's about what happens when no one is looking. When you're alone in your own space without an audience. It's about whether you can sit with yourself and still feel worthy. And that's what makes this so powerful. When you carry that kind of energy, not forced, not performative, just deeply owned, it creates an undeniable presence. A gravitational pull, not because you're trying to attract anyone, but because you are so rooted in yourself that attraction is simply the natural byproduct. And that's the kind of confidence that lasts. Emotional detachment isn't rejection, it's self-trust. There's a difference between pushing people away and simply standing firm in your own worth. A lot of us grew up thinking love meant proving something, convincing someone to choose us, working overtime to be seen, holding on tighter when we felt them slipping. But real love doesn't require a sales pitch. And I get it. When we care about someone, we want to show it. But here's where it gets tricky. When love is driven by fear of abandonment, fear of being forgotten, fear of not being enough, it stops being love. It becomes a transaction, a constant negotiation of what do I need to do to make you stay? That's not connection, that's survival mode. And it's exhausting. We've all heard that saying, if they wanted to, they would. It's frustratingly simple, and yet, how often do we waste energy over-explaining, over-giving, overstaying in places where someone has already shown us again and again that they're not meeting us halfway? That's where self-trust comes in. When a woman truly trusts herself, she doesn't fear walking away from something that isn't honoring her, not because she's cold or guarded, but because she knows that love is not meant to be extracted from someone, it's meant to be freely given. She doesn't chase clarity from someone who's inconsistent. She doesn't try to decode mixed signals. She doesn't take breadcrumbs and call it a meal because she trusts herself enough to know when something isn't for her. Now let's talk about the science behind this. There's a psychological concept called interpersonal dependency. It's the tendency to rely on others for emotional validation and self-worth. And while a healthy level of interdependence is natural, we are wired for connection after all, the problem comes when we start outsourcing our sense of value, when our peace depends on someone else's text, someone else's approval, someone else's willingness to choose us. We are no longer in control of our own emotional world. And here's what's interesting. Studies show that people who exhibit high self-trust, who don't overinvest in uncertain relationships, actually create more attraction. Why? Because they aren't seeking security from another person. They already are secure. In that kind of energy, it shifts the entire dynamic. Imagine two women in the exact same situation. Both of them start dating someone new. Everything feels great at first, but then the man starts pulling back a little. He takes longer to reply. He seems a little less engaged. The first woman panics. She starts texting more, asking if something's wrong, bending over backward to fix whatever might be pushing him away. The second woman notices the change too, but instead of trying to control it, she trusts herself. She doesn't reach for reassurance. She observes. If the pattern continues, she adjusts. If the energy isn't being reciprocated, she naturally steps back, not as a game, but as a reflection of her self-worth. Who do you think that man is more drawn to? Not because one woman is better than the other, not because one is playing it cool, but because confidence in self creates space. It creates choice, and choice is where desire grows. A woman who trusts herself knows that she is not for convincing. She does not beg. She does not bargain. She does not stay where she has to fight just to feel wanted. She simply believes in her bones that the right connection will never require her to abandon herself. And that belief, it changes everything. Men respect what they have to earn. This isn't about playing games. It's not about making someone jump through hoops just for the sake of it. It's about understanding a fundamental truth of human nature. We don't value what is handed to us. We value what we work for. And before you start thinking this is about manipulation, let's get one thing straight. This isn't about withholding love or affection to create artificial desire. It's about understanding the natural rhythm of attraction, which is built not in moments of certainty, but in the space where interest and effort have room to grow. Now, this is where a lot of people get stuck. There's this deep-rooted fear, especially for women, that if they don't give enough, if they don't show just how much they care, they'll lose the person they want. So they overextend, they accommodate too quickly, they rush in emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically before a foundation has even been built. And here's where that backfires. When something is given too freely, when there's no challenge, no build-up, no sense of discovery, it doesn't create deeper appreciation, it creates complacency because it removes the essential ingredient in all attraction, investment. Let's talk about the psychology behind this. There's a principle in behavioral economics called the effort justification effect. It's the idea that people place higher value on things they have to work for. When something requires effort, we perceive it as more meaningful. This is why people who assemble their own IKEA furniture tend to love it more than something pre-built. It's why the friendships we've nurtured over time feel deeper than the ones that came too easily. And it's why in relationships, the process of building something together creates far more lasting attraction than something that is simply handed over, fully formed. And I'm not just talking about physical attraction. I'm talking about emotional investment. When a woman overgives in the early stages, when she's the one always making plans, always initiating, always adjusting her schedule, always trying to make it easier for the other person, what she's really saying without meaning to is, you don't have to invest in this. I'll do it for both of us. And the second someone stops having to invest, they stop valuing. Now, let's be clear. This does not mean creating artificial distance or pretending to be unavailable. It means allowing things to unfold at a natural pace. It means matching effort. It means understanding that a relationship is built together, not carried by one person while the other passively receives. And this applies to all human dynamics. Think about it. When was the last time you deeply valued something you didn't have to put any effort into? When something is too easy, too immediate, it doesn't create anticipation. And anticipation is the space where excitement, curiosity, and deeper appreciation live. This is why confident detachment is so powerful. A woman who understands her worth doesn't rush the process. She doesn't try to speed up emotional intimacy. She allows space. And space is where attraction breathes. Because here's what most people get wrong. When you are too available too soon, it doesn't create closeness. It creates a dynamic where one person is pursuing while the other is simply deciding whether or not to engage. But when both people are showing up, both people are investing, both people are choosing each other, that's when respect, appreciation, and attraction deepen. And that's not about playing hard to get. It's about being worth the effort. And the right person, they will always be willing to show up and meet you there. The woman who values herself first will always be valued more. This one might sting a little, not because it's complicated, but because deep down we all know it's true. The way people treat us is often a reflection of the way we treat ourselves. Think about it. Have you ever been around someone who radiates self-respect? someone who moves through the world with a quiet certainty, not arrogance, not detachment, but a deep, unshakable knowing of their own worth. It's not something they say out loud. It's not something they have to prove. It's just there, woven into the way they carry themselves, the way they make decisions, the way they engage with others. And that energy, it's magnetic. Because the truth is, people mirror the standards we set for ourselves. If we constantly put ourselves last, accept less than we deserve, and make excuses for people who don't show up fully, we teach others that we are okay with that. Not because they're bad people, but because humans, by nature, respond to the environment they're given. So when a woman places herself at the center of her own life, when she prioritizes her peace, her boundaries, and her well-being, she's not pushing love away. She's creating the right kind of love. The kind that doesn't require her to shrink, to beg, to earn a seat at the table. And that shift, it's everything. Now, let's talk about the psychology behind it. There's a theory in social psychology called self-fulfilling prophecy. The idea that our expectations, both of ourselves and others, tend to become reality. When a woman moves through the world with the expectation that she must overgive, over-explain, or over-prove her worth, she subconsciously creates relationships that require that of her. But when she expects to be treated with care, respect, and effort, she naturally gravitates toward people who reflect that back. And this isn't just about romantic relationships. It's about how we show up everywhere. The way we carry ourselves in one area of life tends to spill into others. The woman who knows her value in relationships also knows her value at work, in friendships, in the way she talks to herself when no one else is listening. So what does this actually look like in real life? It looks like a woman who doesn't wait for a relationship to complete her because she already feels whole. It looks like a woman who doesn't entertain half-hearted effort because she's too busy building a life she loves. It looks like a woman who knows that love, real love, isn't about finding someone to choose her. It's about choosing herself first and allowing the right person to meet her there. And when that happens, everything changes. Because a woman who values herself first is never afraid of losing someone. She's only afraid of losing herself in the process. And that kind of self-respect, that's what makes her truly unforgettable. At the end of the day, this isn't about detachment as a strategy. It's not about withholding, playing hard to get, or creating artificial distance. It's about stepping fully into your own worth so deeply that you don't have to chase, convince, or prove yourself to anyone. It's about knowing without hesitation that the right love will never require you to abandon yourself.